We should have a lot of fun. Again, talking to this morning, we're joined now by political strategist Camara Clifton. Camara, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Chris. Nice to talk to you.
Thanks so much for joining us as we talk about the State of the Union address tonight. And Camara, let me ask you, what do we expect tonight? Will it be truly, here's the State of the Union as it is now, or do we think it's going to be more of a, here's what we can do over the next 4 years if you bring me back to the White House?
Well, I think it's if he really, Chris, really, if he did a true State of the Union address, everyone in this country would be, having a black cloud over their heads because they would realize, the real danger and the real problems that we're in. Your listeners probably not so much because they are an uneducated electorate, but he will talk about fairness and social justice. That's going to be, in my opinion, that's going to be the big theme. But on the flip side, if your listeners could substitute the word freedom every time that he uses the word fair, which is his new repeat word, fogging word, if you will, then I think they might be able to stay focused on what is really going on here. He can't talk about the State of the Union because then he'd have to admit, the mess that he's gotten us in. And of course, if we could get everyone to admit the mess that he has brought us into, not the one that he claims to inherited and not been able to do much about, then we have no risk of him having another 4 years.
Camara, earlier we did a little exercise and we looked at last year's State of the Union address and went kind of point by point on what he said and what was actually accomplished. And when you have things like Social Security, which he said we're going to do something about, nothing was done. Immigration, same thing. Government regulation, he said last January we're going to find a way to combine some departments to maximize our efficiency. And it was a couple of weeks ago we got the first proposal. So a lot of times these things are lost in memory, but from what he said last year, we didn't get a lot done.
Well, we didn't get a lot done that we would like to see happen, but he got a tremendous amount done that the progressives would like to see happen. And I want to tell you, Chris, I have stopped calling them liberals because they've moved from that position, to the left of center, all the way to progressive. Mm-hmm. That's what he wants this country to be. So when you think about think about this: a family of three, a parent and two children, making $14,000 a year, has more disposable income than the same family composition making $60,000 a year. And the reason is that the family of three making $14,000 doesn't have to pay any of their own overhead. They don't pay for their cell phone. They don't pay for their rent, probably is subsidized. They have food stamps. Their health care is subsidized or paid for completely. Excuse me, it just goes on and on and on. So it's the difference between fairness and freedom. And when you are free of dependency, that's when you're really is for the country to be completely dependent on the government. What's always so short-sighted about the progressives' point of view is that, like Margaret Thatcher said, socialism is great until all the rich people run out of money. Well, he has gotten us on a pace to that in a hurry.
And I think what you just mentioned, again, we're joined by political strategist Camara Clifton. Camara, I think what you just mentioned is what infuriates Americans. The fact that, listen, we're a fair country. Those who need assistance, we want to be there for them. But those people are being robbed because there are so many people taking advantage of the system, and that continues to grow. We see the numbers more and more, and I think that is what really gets Americans, fired up about this. And I know a lot of people who say, I'm not even going to watch the State of the Union because I don't want to hear what he has to say. But I think it's important that we do watch it to hear really kind of mapping out his plan for his reelection this fall.
Well, I agree that they should watch it. I think that's part of being an informed and educated electorate. But I encourage all of your listeners to also watch the rebuttal. Because, I can't give the Republican Party much credit for being great at propaganda. But I hope that they will go by point and tell the truth. Because, as sad as this is, when the President of the United States, ostensibly the leader of the free world, deals in lies and propaganda, we are at the precipice of something that is just unbelievable for our country. And so we need people to understand that just because he says it doesn't make it true. And as you pointed out, why would they wait until the week before the next State of the Union to come up with, we're going to consolidate, or 2 weeks ago I think it was, consolidate these agencies? It's like the kid who didn't work on his term paper, the whole year, and the 4 days before it's due is buying one off the internet. It's just not right.
Yeah,
and if there is anything when you talk about fairness, what's not fair is not all the stuff that he's going to put forward that he wants, where he picks winners and losers, and he decides how it's going to go. What's not fair is that the American public has to suffer through this another year, let alone 4 after that.
Real quickly, finally, Camara, let me ask you, I think that we're going to have another debate in Florida between the Republican candidates this week, and I would imagine that this will give them an opportunity to kind of let the American public know, hey, here's what he's talking about, here's what he said in his State of the Union, and here's why that's wrong. So at least because it's an election year, we may get some type of public rebuttal, not only from Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels tonight, but also Newt Gingrich and Mitt Romney and Santorum and Paul about what they find wrong with what he said.
Well, I hope you're right about that, Chris. I really do, because, the debates are to let us kind of have an understanding of what to expect if any of these guys were sitting in the White House. And one way to do that is for them to talk about what they would undo, and what their perspective is about how to put us back on the right track. So I hope you're right about that. I hope that they will. Unfortunately, sometimes those debates are driven by the questions asked by people whose interest is solely based in making sure that the president gets another 4 years.
But she beats John King. So anyway, Camara, thank you so much.
And so many others.
Yeah, that's right.
In this debate series.
We saw it last night as well. So, Camara, listen, I know you're busy. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and great to hear from you.
God bless you, and keep up the good work.
All right, you too. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Political strategist Camara Clifton from Fox News joining us on this Tuesday morning. We appreciate her time. 241-1059.